Hello.
Yeah, now that that light is on. Save the things you're gonna say.
Can we get the screens on?
Yes, Nico, can you turn the displays on?
Hey, Jim. How you doing? You too?
Oh, yeah. Yes, you'll help me a lot. Okay, it is 6 o'clock. And this is the January 7th, 2026 Municipal Budget Committee meeting. Wish everybody a happy new year. Just before we start, Alina and Gabby both are sick, and so they have excused absences. There's a lot of that going around, so. And this evening, Nico is here to help me run the Budget Committee meeting. So thank you, Nico, because I'm sure that'll help keep me on track to get us all out of here at a reasonable hour. I'd like to, one of my start. Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Correct. Next on the agenda is the review approval of the December 22nd, 2025 regular session. I guess I will need a motion and a second to approve, or if anybody wants to modify. Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Kat, for that. I know there was a tag team there to get that done. Appreciate it.
If no one has any corrections, I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to approve the December 22nd, 2025 meeting minutes as written. Any discussion at all? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain?
I guess technically I should abstain, even though I listened to the whole
I-
thing.
Did she do a good job?
She
Yes.
did,
Well, then you can approve them.
yes.
Yeah.
You can approve. Okay, so that's approved.
So
Can I-
5.
Can I also put on the record that we should all just show Michelle a little appreciation? It is very hard to be taking notes and also like actively thinking and processing what's being discussed at the same time. And she does a really fantastic job, and we're lucky to have her.
Thank you.
I second that.
And that should go in the minutes first.
Please let the record show that Michelle.
Let
was
it be
great.
known.
And I mean, I do minutes, but she's amazing at doing it, like capturing it. In a
It's very
concise
hard to
format.
get a
I know,
concise-
it is, it is. It's very difficult.
Picture of what happened without it just being like 20 pages
Right,
long.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So next item?
It is time for updates from the select board, also known as the school board.
So, yep, Letty, I guess you can do the select board update first.
Sure. So we're approving the last of our budgets for the operating budget tonight. The select board approved the last two. There was also discussion about reopening the benefits budget, but I guess technically we reopened it and then tabled it, but there's no change currently. There is possibly a change coming, but that's it.
Dan, school? By the way, again, I replied to everybody, but thank you. That package was amazing. Really appreciate it. And obviously we'll discuss it more on the 12th, but thank you so much, really.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, and that's the primary update is the school board met on Monday, and not only have we landed on a proposed budget for fiscal year '27, But we also talked through what the other proposed warrant articles would be, which includes a new negotiated teacher contract that we just negotiated between the board and the union, and then a couple of smaller warrant articles, as we've done in the past, related to some of the capital reserve trust funds for special education and technology. And then a wild card potential warrant article, we're consulting with legal right now. Michelle, it was actually you who asked the question about IRS and have they responded to the solar credit? And they've still been unresponsive. Like our finance director and the accountant who helped get us pre-approved for all of this have been following up with the IRS like routinely and still no word back. And so the timeline is unclear, but in anticipation of it potentially happening in this coming year, we're wondering if it makes sense to have a warrant article in place where we could still take in that revenue. And so we're consulting with legal on that right now, just so that we're like aware of our options. So the presentation that I sent across to you all via email, I think the main event is the operating budget, number one. But all of those other proposed warrant articles are in there as well. So yeah, take a look at it. Feel free to send me any questions between now and Monday. Otherwise, I'll be here, and we'll have a full team here with us as well. Myself, the entire school board, a couple folks might be showing up late, but then 3 representatives from the school as well, or the district, Principal Q, Molly O'Keefe, the finance director, and then Dr. Renee Bennett, who's the assistant superintendent, who sits with us on the board. There's some probably combined like 50 plus years of K-12 education experience between those 3 right there. So we got a good crew coming on Monday to collaborate and answer questions and all that.
Yeah, again, thank you. And I agree. I think if we have any questions, if we get them to Dan ahead of time, I'm sure it'll help out. That way people can prepare. Maybe there's something they want to bring or a show or something like that. So thanks again, Dan.
Thanks.
Great job.
And now is the budgets to review. The first one is information systems.
Thank you, Nico. So on information systems, and for anybody viewing at home, all of these budgets are posted under same link where you can get the agenda and minutes for this meeting. I posted all of these so you can see them. The proposed budget from the select board for information systems for 2026 is $90,049. Open it up to obviously any discussion or take the motion to approve.
The only thing I want to say is I had a question about website because my recollection is that we were going to use impact fees to pay for that. That was 2 town administrators ago. So it's not clear. I think at this point it makes sense to just budget for it. And then if it turns out there's some other funding, then we'll be ready. But that was the majority of the increase, or it offset some of the other. This is the one where you shifted some things, Julie, between the hardware and software support, and this also encompasses the new Avatar software, including the new budgeting modules in here too, right? Yep.
I guess the only question I was going to ask, and it may have been brought up last night, is there any funding in here for support of this audiovisual system? So
No.
None.
No.
Is that the town administrator? Who would that question go to? I don't think we have an IT person,
We
right?
do not have an IT person.
Julie, did anybody bring that to your attention at all? And I'm only asking because I had at least one of our meetings we could not televise.
There were 2.
2.
Yeah.
And I had a cemetery trustee meeting that the same thing happened, and and then the municipal complex
Yep,
meeting, which
yep,
was
there
really
were,
important.
there was about a week's worth of meeting, although there
And-
was select board meeting like there was about a week where this system was not reliably working.
Because
Maybe Julie has information.
yeah, I just, again, if we knew how much it was gonna be, I would say we should do that. It's really a problem.
I know Letty mentioned it at the meeting when it was back up and running. I called, and I'm sorry, I can't remember.
Black Willow?
No, well, they didn't respond, but the local guy who just, he came in and it was just a loose cord in the back of it and
Yeah, so he
Plugged
was,
it back in.
it was George, I think he was a member of the communication. So the system was a self-install by the communications committee. When the AV system was proposed to the select board, a full service install, which would come with service and support, would have been like $60,000 to $80,000. And the self-install was, I think, 25 or 30, where we buy the stuff and people installed it. But the challenge obviously then is that there's no support system. So I don't know, were you able to talk to him about if he'd be willing?
I haven't,
And
uh,
And I apologize.
That's
I didn't even think of this until just now, to be honest, because the
That's okay.
system's working. I would have told you ahead of time. And honestly, if it seemed to be working flawlessly for the longest time, I never had, it's pretty obvious, self-intuitive, like how to use it, and it worked great. And if it was just some fluky thing that somebody went back there doing something or something fell out, so be it, then it's probably not a big deal. And if we do have
I mean, he was
somebody-
super quick to respond once we reached out to him and
I think the only challenge is that if he's around, great. If he's not available, then
right.
what? And I don't know, I don't think this can go under block 5 because they didn't,
I doubt it.
so yes, when it's working, great, it's great,
Okay.
and it's seamless, but it's when there's a problem, there
But it
there
doesn't
really
even
isn't a
sound
system.
like there's an option to get just a service type contract with somebody to do that.
It
And-
could probably take some shopping around.
We would have to, yeah, we'd have to
Okay.
find, somebody would have to
Okay.
do research to see
Okay.
who'd be able and willing to do that.
Then we'll just have to, if we had it, I would say we could consider it, but if we don't have it, it's
I mean, I
not
guess
worth
we could
my-
budget,
Yep,
we,
but I
have
would,
no
yeah,
idea.
I wouldn't do that.
Be throwing
And
it at
again,
the wall.
if we had somebody come in and fix it, again, for the longest time, it was, honestly,
Yeah.
it was working fine, and it really is, it really works well, so, again, thank you, Julie, and thank you, Letty.
For the minutes, can I just have a just brief review of what the decreases and increases were for, so I can document that?
I think there was categories of charges that were moved between hardware and software support. Is that, or Julie can do it? I don't know why I'm.
I was gonna say, I think what Jim sent kind of has a little bit of, like, what's in each.
Yeah, a lot of the support charges, it's kind of a combination of hardware and software support on one invoice from Block 5. So they've kind of been randomly put in one category or the other. And what I did for those is just split them up evenly between the two. And the hardware one is more because that includes a server upgrade for 2026, and then I took the monthly support fees and split them in half.
Thank you.
Sure.
And then was there something specific on equipment purchases? That's the only other one I didn't know.
Server.
That was $2,290 hardware needed for the server upgrade, plus a refurbished computer for
Oh,
the
that's right,
camera.
for the, yep.
Because it looks like the big move was the part of the upgrade into that. But then, so just, my question was gonna be, I see that what select board approved is about $1,000 less than the request. With everything moving, like where did that come out of, or was that 1,000 kind of just padding to make sure everything goes smoothly originally?
I think the original request was a placeholder before you had gotten all of the stuff.
It was.
block
Okay.
five.
Yes.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I hadn't received the contract amounts and
Yeah,
so forth.
okay. That was kind of what I assumed, is that it was just when things were shifting. Which even better that it came in cheaper than.
Motion?
Second,
Okay, so I have a motion and a second.
for the, I'm seconding $90,049.
Thank you. So the motion and second to accept the information system budget for 2026 at $90,049. Any other discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone oppose or abstain? Okay, passes. Thank you. Thank you, Julie and Letty.
Now it is time for insurance benefits.
The Select Board proposed 2026 budget for insurance and benefits is $520,654. And
Yeah, so that's a reduction based on what the select board approved splits are and what the current elections are. There are, I think, four family plans also in there as placeholders.
Right.
Um,
And in fact, I did send that to everybody.
Okay.
The administrator did send us the basically that's where the total budget of $490,429. Again, and Letty, I'll just say, I know you were the chair of that sub-team that went through this, employees as well as elected officials. And again, thank you. I think you got something here that everybody was at least agreed upon, and the select board accepted all of the, I believe, all of the suggestions from that team. So.
I think that there was some interest on that team there was a shortened timeline that we had to figure this out. I think there was some interest on that team to decide whether or not we want to look into offering a true high deductible plan for next year, but that.
Well, I will say this, definitely will be something that, because we do have this sub-team that Michelle and I have for healthcare, and that's what kind of started this whole thing. But I think we get started earlier and do what you say, I think we need to better evaluate not being self-insured and going direct, do that true comparison. We didn't have time to really do that. And then just what you said, is there a way maybe to come up with some different plans and even maybe update the way we do the contributions to kind of incentivize and making it better for employees to take these high deductible plans by us funding parts of the deductible and things like that.
Yeah,
But
I
we
think
just
there
didn't
just
have
wasn't-
time. We
there
just didn't
wasn't
have
time.
time.
Yep.
But I think that's a really, really good thing for next year for our team to take on. So
Yeah, so the thing that came up at last night's meeting was that the library employees have a different employee handbook than town employees do. They're not employed by the town. Their payroll goes through the town payroll system. I think as a courtesy, so that they don't have to get their own payroll system. I'm not entirely sure how that happened. That's been that way for a really long time. But it came up last night that under the library employee handbook, they have a different amount for the in lieu of insurance. And so a couple members of the board wanted to change this budget to reflect what the town employee handbook said. So the budget was reopened, but then tabled because there was some interest on behalf of the board to see if the library had it wasn't on the agenda. It just kind of came up. And so there was interest on the board, some members of the board, to hear what the library had to say. I do think that it has always been done this way. This is not a new policy. So I don't know if in the past they just kind of let it, I don't know why it came up this year, but this is not a new policy.
And I mean, when I heard it, I mean, we'll see what you guys do, but I would hold off on. In my opinion, I'm a budget committee. This is more of to me, an employee benefits and an employee handbook thing that I'll let the select board determine what's the right thing to do. I have an opinion on it, but I'll save it for, again, if they want to do it, I just feel like, why not put it in the library budget, the difference, and put it as a library item line and keep this straight. But it doesn't matter
So I
for
don't-
until budget, it wouldn't matter.
So again, so this came up, it wasn't on the agenda and we didn't receive any information ahead of time. So I've done a little bit of research since then. Like I said, this is not new. This has been like this for like 10 or 15 years. So I don't know why now it's becoming a question. So I don't know.
I mean, I will say this, me personally, I do know the original budget sheet that I got from the select board that was used for last year
Mhm.
included a line, this template.
Yep.
It included a line that said in lieu of, and it
Right.
was $1,300 a year or whatever it was, $25. I mean, it was actually in the budget.
Yeah.
It was budgeted at $1,300 a year. It wasn't budgeted with a 2,000 for library, so.
Sure. I guess what I'm
Um,
saying is that if it's always been budgeted like that, then it's always been budgeted slightly low.
Low.
But
right.
maybe that was on purpose because there were other lines in this budget
Right.
that always, like,
Yeah, yeah,
nothing has changed on the back end.
right.
I think to be fair, there's been a lot of things this year identified to maybe not be correct, and this may just be one of those things.
Yeah, so I guess the question then becomes, and again, as you said, this is a question for the select board, do we budget for the thing that we know we're gonna have to spend? Or do we, and that is a fun
Let you-
conversation the
yeah,
select
let-
board is gonna
You guys
need
can
to
have that discussion, I agree.
But I think the one thing I just want to make sure that was clear is that this is not a new policy that the library has. This has been this way for a very long time. It sounds like it was just noticed, which again is not bad because now that we're all seeing kind of how this
Yeah.
stuff is happening, these errors are getting caught. So we are gonna have the joy of having the select board figure this out at some point.
Okay, so
But the budget as it's proposed right now, do we know, are like all of the library employees taking insurance that is kind of
What-
captured
what
by
I-
the big?
what I was
We-
told
so
is-
this is accurate for our current staff. At the
Okay.
current levels, including.
Plus then those 4 family plans,
Yes.
or I guess those are 4 positions that we know will need.
I believe,
Probably.
we don't
the-
know,
wait a
but
minute.
just in case.
well, and I
So
don't
they're
know if it,
put at the, aren't there still positions open?
At the library.
Not at the library, just in
In general.
Yes, that's what
Yes.
the fourth.
Yes, so then you put.
But
that in,
also,
so-
if there's a change of life event,
Yeah.
then we might have someone who's currently single that might go to a family or something like that. So
Yeah.
we do budget for that.
I believe there are 2 employees at the library who are eligible for the benefits.
Yeah.
So obviously they're both taking in lieu of because there's 2 that are at 2,000, in that 6,600, there's 2 at
Okay.
2,000 and 2 at 1,300. There are
Okay.
4 employees total that are getting the in lieu of.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm fine with it.
Motion to approve the $520,654.
Sorry, Michelle, I just have a question for Letty about, this is sort of like it's not specific to the library. But health insurance, select board voted to approve it, includes a decrease of $71,095 under health insurance. So that's obviously the biggest driver of the savings. And so what, maybe just like the highlights, like what allowed you to save?
Yes.
Was it a
So,
change in
yeah,
ratio
could you
between
bring the oth-
employee and
so,
employer, or was it a?
Yeah. So the change in ratio between employee and employer actually went more, the employer paying more. But the big change that led to the reduction is the way that, so I don't know, does the school have multiple options for insurance plans?
I believe so.
So the way that the policy is written for the town is there are 3 plans, and we will pay 100% of the middle plan for a single person, and then 80%. See the
Yeah.
green? And then we apply that same number of dollars to the plan above it and the plan below it.
Got it.
So the plan that is currently Plan B did not used to be Plan B. The plan that is currently Plan B was not the one that those percentages were calculated off of. I'm being very careful not to say how we got there, But the way it was before is the 100%, 80%, 80% was done off of what is now Plan A. There were only 2 plans. So it was, the policy was written for 3, there were only 2. It appears that at some point, what used to be Plan A was dropped and they just continued with the other 2, meaning that the policy was no longer in line with what was being done. So the select board re-upped the policy to have 3 different plans and ordered them in this way so that even though the town is paying more percentage of that center plan, they are contributing less than they did last year. Is that? The town is.
Yeah.
Does that capture?
And I mean, to be fair though, the select board did vote, but there was a team of people that, and Letty was the chair. I was a member, and there were employees on that. And this was like she's saying, the plan A, B, picking the plans was that team made the recommendations. And then also they made the recommendation to go from, it used to be 10, 100, 75, and 75. And we recommended to the select board to change it to 100, 80, 80. And the select board approved those recommendations.
So between those 2 things, the changing which plan was the percentages based off of and changing the percentages that were being covered, it ended up costing the town whatever that's $60,000 or $70,000 less.
Got it.
And the other things, Dan, is that it also created a shift. A lot of people, you can see that nobody signed up for Plan A, right? Which is the most expensive plan. Nobody signed up for it this year, where last year, and I have the number somewhere, but there were, because of the way it was being calculated, people were signing up for the more expensive plan. So you have this combination, right, of people now electing a cheaper plan. And, oh, by the way, because the percentages are based on that middle plan now, it created that situation. So it's kind of a double change. You have people accept and taking a lower plan, a lower cost plan, but you also have a contribution for the town that's at a lower rate.
Okay.
With a higher deductible, though.
Correct.
So that's the kicker, that it's a higher deductible plan. Plan B is.
They can't hear us at all? Is it because we're too far away, or is it? Okay, is it better if I'm like this?
Testing.
Because I know that sometimes when I'm listening to it, if people are, well, I don't know what to do if it's not working other than what we're doing, so I will try to be better at being up on the microphone. Sorry, I missed what your final.
No change.
No, I'm good.
Okay, I think the thing that is, my recollection, the thing that is not better or worse, but different is that you are bound by the collective bargaining agreement, which means that those shifts in how the splits are done and which plans are offered or not can't pivot so quickly.
Yeah, not as malleable.
Yep.
Right.
I don't think there's anything that we can do. How about now?
It's fine.
Yep, don't touch any of those things, bud.
No, it's okay.
Okay, I don't know what to tell you.
Nothing. We can't.
I mean, should we start a Teams meeting at least so that it's recording?
Can we upload that?
I don't know, but at least if we have a recording, it's better than not having one. I don't know.
Yeah, yes, if you could do that.
I think I can, right? Maybe.
Turn up the Shure mix.
Yeah, we can. I appreciate the AV friend that is making those suggestions, but we don't have access to that.
I don't even know what he's telling me to do.
It's ironic that we were just talking about
Did he
needing
jinx
to
it?
surface.
It's my fault. Yeah, I have that effect on things.
I think I can do this.
Hey, wait a minute.
What?
It's working.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, Mesh watches, it's on mute.
Anyways,
Okay.
it's okay.
Sorry to interrupt, just.
No, no,
no,
no.
it's okay.
Thanks.
We want this to be streamed. So, nope.
Guess I don't have those powers. Any other discussion on this? Because I think, Michelle, you were about to make a motion,
I
right?
made a motion.
She made a motion.
But I had no second.
I will second
Oh.
her motion.
I just wanted to hear Dan's question before.
Oh,
Yeah.
he had another, was it?
No,
was
no,
there
no, no,
another?
that was when,
All
before
set.
she, or when she was motioning.
So I have a motion and a second for the insurance benefits budget for 2026 at $520,654. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstained? No? Okay, great. Okay, Nico, what's next?
Next is recycling.
Correct. So this one's a little weird, right? Because recycling and the next one, waste collection disposal, I believe the select board did a total of all of them together.
I
For
don't know
some
why
reason,
they do that.
yeah, and
It makes
I don't know. I mean, for some reason, when I got the original sheets, this is how it was. Recycling was on one, and then waste disposal was on another one. But
So,
if
so
you look at,
strictly speaking, in terms of like account numbers, recycling, waste disposal, collection, and then waste disposal landfill fees are 3 separate account.
yeah, and if you
numbers.
like, so if you look what I'm showing right here on the recycling, you can see the account. Too far. This the the 4323-28 recycling waste, recycling, and then if you look at the waste disposal, there's actually a 4323-29 and a 4324-29. One of them is called, looks like collection, waste collection, and the other one's called waste disposal, right? So, but what I did is I have all the numbers from the select board put into these tables
Mhm.
correctly. So, and if you want, I'll try to go through, and if I say something that was confusing, or if you want to do it.
I mean,
Because I do have the numbers broken out for everybody. You can actually look down at the bottom what the select board agreed to do of 6 months of automatic, 6 months of manual.
Mhm.
So you can see the recycle, the 150203. That's what actually is what the select board proposed. It's exactly.
technically it was 150,202.50, and I did request that they round it to the next whole dollar to make all of our lives easier. But yes,
I think the number I got said 203.
it,
Are you
it
okay?
is because
Okay.
I asked them to
Thank
round it
you.
up to the whole dollar.
So, so the recycle of one, again, that is 6 months of automatic and 6 months of manual. And I believe the select board is going to do a warrant that will fund 6 months of manual. So the
That
voters
is
will
what we
vote.
discussed, yes.
And if the voters vote that they want to have manual pick up and they vote, then we'll have money from the warrant. If they vote no, then we have until mid-year to switch over to automated and get the
Yep.
cheaper rate.
And then, you do have the 24,950.
Yes, that's roughly.
So that is
what-
about what the warrant article is going to be. That is for 6 months. I don't know if the select board is going to also have, I guess, an informational warrant article to ask if people want us to continue with manual, because then if the plan for 27 and beyond was to stay on manual, the cost would be double that in
Yeah,
addition to what.
That's probably a
the
good
current-
idea. I mean, because otherwise you're assuming that if they vote this 1 year, that, okay, we're going to do it, until we decide to look at it
Or-
again, or
or-
you have to do this
or
every
may-
year.
Or maybe the voters say, you know what, we want to finish out 2026 with
Right.
manual, with the understanding that January 1st, we're going to go to automated and just have
That's
a little
why-
more time, but that,
Maybe that's a good idea to have.
I
the
don't know.
informational. Okay.
that's for the voters to decide, and the select board hasn't talked about what that might look like yet, so.
So that's on the recycle, the 150203, and then on the waste disposal, the rubbish collection, the 381085, again, that's 6 months of auto, 6 months of manual.
Mhm.
The 175 is landfill fees and the dues are $4,500. And if you look at the total of, and I'm on the waste disposal, if you look at that 560, 585 plus the recycle 150, 203, totals 710,788. That is the number that the select board approved for all of recycle, waste, trash, whatever we want to call it. So all these numbers are exactly what the select board did propose.
The only other thing that I'll mention, if you go back to the recycling tab,
Got it.
there's a good size increase because last year, I'm finding it. The select board did not receive great advice when it came to how to handle using ARPA funds to offset this increase in expense. So last year, we just reduced it by that amount. That is not the way we're supposed to do it. So this year we are fixing that, but there will be, I think, 45,000. I'm sorry, I know you have a blank look. The select board had approved last year before the end of 2024. Nope, before the end. Yes, before the end of 2024, the select board had to expend or earmark all of the remaining ARPA funds. And so I think there was about $90,000 left, and the board voted to spend half of it in 2025 and half of it in 2026 to help offset this big increase in recycling. Because 2024 actual, you can see, was the 65,000. This year it's almost 100. That was the increase they were trying to offset over those 2 years. They did it wrong.
I did?
No, we did it.
Oh, no, I think you're right. I think it was like 45,000.
I think it was about 45,000. There was about 90,000 left. I think whatever it was, we had voted to spend half of it this year and half of it next year to help ease in this difference.
That's what I was just trying to roughly figure out. Yeah, it's rough. Yeah, I think you had told me it was 45.
Sure.
Whatever.
But so that's why that increase looks
So big.
so big, because
That's right.
$45,000 of it was done incorrectly, because instead of offsetting the expense, it has to go on the revenue side.
How is that gonna impact the tax cap? Like, how do the ARPA funds factor into the tax cap if we're
They
counting them
don't.
differently?
Nope. Because it's a revenue, so it'll just.
Yeah, because ARPA is actually a revenue, right? So the
Yeah.
appropriation would be an appropriation, but then you'd have a revenue. So say if in this case, 45,000, if this was budgeted at 145,000, well, you'd have $145,000 of appropriation, $45,000 of revenue, so it'd be $100,000 toward the tax cap.
Okay.
So by under appropriating last year, yeah, this increase of $50,000, yeah,
But there's an
but there's
offsetting
revenue. There was
So,
a
like,
revenue to offset.
Although did we report that in revenue for 26? I don't know why I'm looking at you, I'm so sorry. Right, because you know all those revenue forms that we've been talking about, that would show up in there somewhere, right? The ARPA, somewhere?
I don't know how ARPA is accounted for in the town accounting system.
No, I'm not talking about the town accounting system, I'm talking about those DRA revenue forms that we've been looking at. Somewhere on there should be an amount that is tied to the ARPA revenue, right? In theory. I think there was like a government
I'll
something.
look at, hold on, I'll look at the. This is 20, I should look at 2023s, right? Because we definitely used ARPA we used ARPA in 24 as well.
Yes. But who filled out this form?
Again, I don't know.
If it was me, I might not have. Or is there a place for like government, like federal funds? Oh. So where it says 0, that's,
Yeah, but I believe it's 0 in 2023 as well.
right. But again, I think to Michelle's point, just because we've done something away doesn't necessarily mean it was the right way. Did you do 25? Can you check? Because the one that's for 25 is for, so. Okay, so oh, hold on, what about miscellaneous? Miscellaneous sources not otherwise classified? Maybe? I guess this is something we should figure out. And I don't know who we is.
Well, it really doesn't have an impact on what we're voting right now anyways, right?
No, it does not, but
Right.
it is something that we should
Absolutely.
figure out.
Sure.
Because in theory, if on paper we haven't used any of that ARPA money for this year, then we still have $90,000 that we have to use. I don't.
Yeah, and again, I don't,
You're right, it has nothing to do with this. As well,
it has nothing to do with the 710,
It-
788.
it actually kind of does though, because if we're not reporting it as a revenue, then it's not being off, then this increase isn't being offset.
I was gonna say, then it just looks like we went up. Or,
But regardless of how we report opera and how much we use on opera toward this versus something else, I'm just saying the appropriation for fiscal year 2026 is going to be $710,788.
It absolutely is. I was just speaking to her question about how it affects, how the change and how it's reported. And the answer is, assuming we are just, there's changes in both places to cancel it out, it doesn't. If
Yeah.
there are not,
but if there are not changes in both places,
then that is something the select board is gonna have to figure out. I
yeah,
guess.
because that's
But
it, then that's,
It
you know,
will not change the 710, 780.
when we get to the nitty gritty, when we're looking at warrant articles and, okay, here's our number, it does make it,
Well, we're going to get to it after because we have the town administrator here to talk about revenue anyways, because the only place that revenue is going to come into play is we have to forecast what next year's 434R form will be in October or November. And so if there was any opera money that was going to be used, it would, yeah, you would think that, okay, well, that's going to be additional revenue that we would have. I didn't think we had any opera left, but, and I thought it was too late anyways, but I didn't.
No, but that was, that was my point. It had to be spent or, I keep using the word earmark, but there was a more official term, like spent or, thank you, allocated before the end of 2024. And so that's what the select board did, is they allocated it, whatever the remaining was, to be split between 2026, fiscal year 2026 and fiscal year 2027, with the intent of offsetting the increase in recycling. I can't tell you.
But this year, there was no discussion about offsetting any of this, the $710,788, right?
Yes, because it was decided in December of 2024, so we wouldn't have to have that discussion again because it was already allocated. I think the challenge we're facing now is that the town administrator that we had at that time isn't here anymore. So I don't know whose responsibility is to make sure that that is recorded correctly.
So there is still 45,000-ish allocated for this.
For 2024
26.
and 2026, based on an action of the board in the late 2024.
But it has, back to, we're here to discuss the appropriation
No,
only.
absolutely.
The expenditures. of the
I just
Yeah.
wanted people to understand that recycling isn't costing us $50,000 extra this year. It's more like $5,000 extra. It just looks big because of this thing that was done wrong last year.
Totally, yeah, absolutely.
So did someone make a motion? I'll make a motion.
Are we doing?
are
all
we
of
doing them separately or
different?
together?
Usually we do them separately.
Okay, let's, we'll go back to recycle, which is 150203.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
So I have a motion and a second for the recycle budget for 2026 at $150,203. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone oppose or abstain? Okay, so that's recycle. And then on waste disposal and waste collection, the number is $560,585. So I would need a motion and a second on that amount.
Motion?
Second?
So I have a motion and a second for waste disposal and waste collection for $560,585. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone oppose or abstain? That's good. Oh, and I apologize. I normally would have opened it up to public. Jed, please, if there was something you wanted to say on any of those
Oh, yeah, 'cause
budgets,
we can
you could have,
reopen it.
you could have, you know.
Do you want to save all your questions? I mean, we only have two.
Yeah, we only
more
have two left.
Little-ish budgets.
Thank you. How about now? Good?
Yep.
Glad somebody's on the ball. So what we're doing is pretty customary in the evolution of medical plans. And I would just suggest that you have nobody enrolled in the richest plans now. I would take that as an opportunity to just no longer offer it. And maybe, and I know you talked about higher deductible or true high deductible plan, just an idea.
So, yeah,
it-
that is kind of what happened, how we got down to two plans.
Yeah.
The plan that used to be the most expensive one, nobody took, and so they stopped offering it. And so the one that is currently the most expensive used to be the middle, and so people were on that one. Once it stopped being in the middle, people moved down to the next one, which I think is what you were saying, Jem, people shifted down. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in my experience, that's the way we've done it. When we tried moving or started to move people into high deductible plans to make them more involved in the process of their medical cost. And the other thing I would recommend is, you don't have to respond to it, I'm just talking out loud here, is that you generally don't want to offer any plan for nothing. And you're doing that with the part-time plan. And the idea is that it has to have some value and buy-in by the person. So that would be something I would look at as well. The one that jumped out on this page on insurance benefits is your dental went from like 4,000 to 12,000? Is that like more employees got
Nope.
into it?
So, again, because we were looking more carefully at the employee handbook, we had been offering, the town had not been contributing the correct amount.
So you didn't use to contribute to it? And that-
There used to be two different plans,
Yeah.
and the town, I don't know how to explain it, based on the way that the handbook is written. Are you looking for the handbook, Jim? Or?
I was trying to find,
The way the handbook is written says that the town will pay 100% for the single person and then the same amount for the families, or the same amount for the other two, I think. And so that is not how we had been doing it. There had been a separation of how things were done in reality versus what the handbook said, and so I think because we were all looking very closely.
and the other change that we made, Jed, was that the Health Trust informed us that in the past, we were offering two different dental plans. One was a really low cost and hardly covered anything, and we only had a couple of employees who were electing that cheaper dental plan. And the cost to the town goes down. I believe it was 9%. Don't quote me, and I'll have to find it for you. But if we go to a single plan to the employees, I believe it was either 6 or 9% cheaper. So the team made the recommendation to the select board that we go with just one plan, the standard dental plan that most of the employees were on anywhere. It reduced the cost for the rate came down. So, and again, so you had the rate came down, but we also had to fix the way we were budgeting and funding it.
I was just curious if it was really $12,000. And it sounds like it really is.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
The other one that's jumped out at me is, when you start making the progression from, point of service plans or very rich plans to the high deductible plans, is you'll often offer an incentive not to take the benefit because that's anything to get the risk off of us.
Mhm.
But after you've started, your years into that progression, I noticed on the sheet that it talks in lieu of insurance, which I assume is a buy down for people. How
Yeah,
many
it's
people
for
do we
people that
have
don't.
getting, and how much do they get?
So currently there are there's 4 employees. 2 of them get $1,300 a year. It's $25 a paycheck, and the 2 of them get $2,000 a year because they're under 2 different employee handbooks.
Mhm.
The insurance subcommittee and the select board both talked about perhaps changing that. I think one of the things that so the $1,000 deductible and $3,000 deductible plans are not true high deductible plans in that you can't have an HSA that rolls over year to year.
Mhm.
I think that is typically based on what we saw in terms of research where it would make sense for the town to maybe incentivize those lower cost plans by contributing to those accounts.
Yeah, I think
I
you're
don't know.
talking about HSA plans. that do
Yes,
roll
sorry.
over.
Yeah.
A standard medical plan is high deductible or otherwise, very rarely rolls from year to year.
Yes. So
Um,
even though, and again, this is where there was, I'm thinking of the chart, there were like these plans, and then over here on another side, there were these other plans that had similar deductible amounts,
Mm.
but they were plans where you could have HSAs
Mhm.
that would roll over year to year. None of these allow for that.
Yeah.
Again, I think that there is room and opportunity for the town to look at this next year and maybe come up with something that will be more of an incentive for the employees and maybe save the town money or some combination of the two.
Yeah, I mean, but you're headed in the right direction, so that's the good part.
Trying. But there's one that we don't have that rolls over at, I don't remember what it is.
Well, an HSA will roll over generally.
But maybe it's an
because
HRA that we have.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because those are the ones that you have to use it during the year or else it goes away.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think the HS,
right.
which is,
I have a question about some other things that you haven't hit yet.
Okay, well then what I'll do is, like I said, when I go to these next items, I will definitely open it up. Apologize for that.
No problem.
That was my fault, Nico, not yours.
all
Um,
right, are we ready for the next?
Yes.
What's next?
It is time for a session.
No, what's next? Oh,
Yeah, he's
assessing.
right. That's right.
Assessing?
Assessing. Julie,
No,
thank you for
I-
getting me those numbers too, so that we could add it tonight. For assessing, the select board proposed budget for 2026 is $58,531. Yeah, I guess there was some discussions about.
Yeah, does people want to ask questions? Do you want me to go a little bit? Or,
You can probably just explain some.
so the assessor that we had budgeted for in 2025, in early 2025, stopped working with the town. So the assessing company that we've been using all year was not the one that we budgeted for last year, which is, I would say, the increase. We budgeted to have the assessor here 3 Tuesday, there's some total number of days a year. It's like basic, no, the current one. Basically, we budgeted for the assessor to be here 3 days a month. Yes. Sure. No, but that's just how we came to this number. We have a contract stipulating what the rate per day is. There are options if they do other work for more funding, but originally this budget originally came to us with a higher number of days per month, but there was interest from the board to reduce it. So it averages out to about 3 days a month.
What was it prior to?
It was going to be every week, and then during the summer, every other week. So I think it was like 45 days. It was 45, and we dropped it down to 39.
36, yeah, 36. Yeah.
I was hesitant about, personally, I didn't want to make that change because we hadn't talked to the assessor about whether or not she thought that was a reasonable ask to come here fewer days a month. But because the contract is in place either way, and the board decided to make that decision, they went with the lower number.
Well, but the town administrator did say that she was comfortable with the 36 hours.
The town administrator did?
Yeah.
Yes, but she did not ask the assessor.
I didn't say whether she did. I just said
No,
the select board did ask
wanna-
the
I
town
wanna be clear that
administrator
there-
whether she was comfortable with 36 hours.
No, that's fine. I want to be clear that I personally, as one person on the 5-person select board,
Oh.
voted no because I wanted to know if the assessor thought she could do her work in 3 days a month as opposed to the 4. I know I personally am learning so much about the assessing world with this revaluation and everything else that I am becoming aware that there may be some things that have been done away for a very long time that maybe shouldn't have been done that way. So I think as we're moving into doing things correctly, I just want to make sure that we have enough runway to make sure that they get done right. But that was not the majority of the board opinion. So I will be voting for this number. And again, the contract says up to 45. So if we get to fall and we're like, oh my gosh, we thought she could be here 3 days a month, but we need her 4, then the select board can still decide to do that.
Do you remember what the difference was?
Off the top of my head.
I don't think it works here because the request was something I think that was sent in earlier.
Hold on.
So on a $6-7 million budget, we're talking about 8,000. I'm just making sure I understand how much of a change it was. So going from 45
If you
hours.
give me a
week-
minute, I can look up the exact number.
It's okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, it's not a large amount.
No, and I just was asking because if it was large, I'd probably be nervous about it, and I'd ask the town administrator again. But she was comfortable with it, and if it's $8,000, $8,000, it's not all that much.
I don't know. So yes, it's not that much, which is why, I mean, again, this is, so my personal opinions were not the opinions of the majority of the board.
Right.
The majority of the board felt like that was fine. I personally would have probably left it in there, given that this is still a transitional year. I am also not incredibly concerned because if we, for some reason, need to utilize her for more days, we can find a couple $1,000. So. But again, I will be voting for what the select board voted for, regardless of what my personal opinions are. Hold on, I wrote the same number twice. So the number in front of you is 58,531, is that correct?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the number of days went down, but the cost went, that person's cost
the-
went up. Rate went up. Okay. I just
So the rate actually went down. Her rate that we're paying this year was $900 a day. The new contract has $875 a day. It's that the last year appropriation was budgeted for a different contract.
Okay.
So the answer is kind of both, right?
Yes.
But
Yes and no.
It's
So
really a
we
weird
have been
one.
paying a higher rate
Right.
than the
Correct.
rate that we're getting for 2026. But because budget, that's not how it comes across. I think this year actual is also not up to date, I'm guessing. I don't know how often Whitney invoices us, but I don't think that's the number. Although,
I'll have to check that because I may have just gotten that number from at the meeting last night. But let me just look.
I will say that there have been multiple instances, I don't know if this applies here, where the number that comes across for actual for the year is still incorrect. Oh, okay. Well, that's what I was saying. I don't know if they invoice, I don't know how often they invoice us.
8720. The numbers I have there is what the latest one.
No, but, so we have had other budgets where this year actual number is literally incorrect. Like, there is another invoice that is sitting in the system, right? Like, insurance is one of the ones that keep, like, the health benefits, where, like, for some reason, there is a whole invoice that just doesn't show up when you run this kind of report, but it shows up when you run a different report. Is that? But this is run from the okay. That's. Oh, yeah. Soon. Yeah, because they started in. There was a little bit of a gap, so it might be half. It's actually, that would make sense. This is about half the year then, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll make the motion for 58,531 if there's no further comment.
I'll second it. So I have a motion and a second for the proposed, for the assessing budget for $58,531. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone oppose or abstain? And Chad, I did it again. I didn't ask you, but. Okay, got it.
Go ahead. What's next?
The next thing that we are doing is government dash buildings.
Thank you, Nico. Government buildings. Bigger on the screen. The select board proposed.
That's general government.
I'm like, I thought I set this up to be 100% before I came. The select board proposed budget for 2026 on government buildings is $80,206.
I had questions about this. So you can see where she switched the wages for custodian to custodial services because it's not an employee, it's a contracted service. I think other things were moved, like electric was moved to be in line with actual, some various things were moved to be in line with actual. Telephone service contract, I think part of that was moved down to telecommunication. So like there were some line switches to get things kind of in the places where they belong. There was, what is it? So the questions I had asked and had answers to, in terms of this year actual versus budgeted for next year, the town of Brentwood, meaning this building, repairs and maintenance, there was a ice dam issue that led to some damage and some repairs. So that was kind of a one-off that hopefully shouldn't happen again, so we don't need to budget for it. Fire station, they're having problems with their septic system. So we're not going to budget for that to continue. Hopefully we can figure out what's causing that and keep that from being an ongoing expense. I think those are the only ones. It was mentioned that the Grange has potential to have a grant for next year to do repairs to their building, which is a town-owned building. And there would be an expectation of a match from the town. There was discussion about whether or not we should put that here. The intent of these lines, I think we talked about, was for just like regular maintenance and stuff like that. If the Grange needed a match, the select board could either just pull it from somewhere else or in theory maybe use maintenance of town-owned buildings capital reserve. So that might be something that we want to come back to when we're thinking about how much we want to put in those funds for next year.
I have a question. So in 2024, it looks like there was also 17,000-ish spent on this building. Do you know what that was?
I do not off the top of my head.
Because just if every
what year
single
was
year,
that?
it looks like there's
So
a big.
2024, at the end of 2024, the goal was just to make sure everything was recorded somewhere in the operating budget. We ended without a TA
Yeah.
anywhere. So I think it's possible that some of the things on that line could have belonged somewhere else, maybe.
Okay. Because that would just be my concern, is looking at, if there was a big maintenance event or like something crazy happened, the downstairs flooded, et cetera, and we had to spend $17,000
You know
on
what?
it,
That
budgeted $5.
actually, that
Because I
might,
know it did flood.
so that might actually be part of what that is.
Mhm.
What year did you ask about?
24.
Yeah, so the last year actual, then this year actual, just kind of feels like if it keeps being up in the teens.
So I did ask about why it was in the teens this year. And I will say that when we looked at the budgets last year, like the appropriation for this year, I probably would have said, hey, if we use $17,000 here, is 5 enough? And I'm guessing if I felt okay with that answer, it was because I know that was when they were doing renovations downstairs for their mold remediation, so maybe that's why.
That's fair. That's crazy. But that's
Yeah.
it. Just if we were
I
saying,
kinda saw
oh, this
that
is
same
a
thing.
one-off thing, like it's not going to pop up next year, so we
Yeah.
don't have to budget for it. But if that's happening every year,
Yeah.
at some point we
I
might
thought,
want
I
to
saw that same thing, Kat. The one thing that I did is then I looked at the bottom and I'm like, it's been kind of level, if you look at the total, you know what I mean? And they're allowed to shift between things. And I
Yeah.
know that so that's why I kind of was like, well,
Yeah, I think so what you're saying, if you kind of look across the bottom,
Right.
we
Yeah.
used about the same, plus or minus a couple $1,000.
exactly.
So keeping it around that
Seems to be.
seems to be okay. And then, yeah, if we do have other ways.
Yeah.
If things really go sideways, we can pull from other lines. We can use capital reserve funds. Again, I think we are facing, hopefully this is the last year we're going to be facing a challenge of knowing that things are on the right lines. 26, things are going to be on all the right lines, so we're not going to need to worry about that.
Thank you for the summary.
Yeah. Did I capture that?
You captured the Grange one right, because I was the one who asked it, so thank you. Yeah, it was right on.
And it looks like by switching from a custodian to custodial services, we're saving $4,000 or something.
We didn't have a custodian before, so I speculate that we've had a contracted custodian for a while, and the number has been $25,000 for a while, and it's been left to roll over year to year because it's been level funded, and no one's actually looked at how much that contract is. That would be my guess. Is that?
But then why is there the new line around custodial services?
Because I'm guessing she looked at how much it actually costs us and budgeted based on that and not just off of vibes.
Got it. So then rather than update the custodian line to be more accurate, we just created a new line for custodial services?
Yes, because custodian we did at one point have a a full-time hired custodian and like building maintenance person.
Oh, so we can't live under a salaries line?
I mean, it can, it's just not good at counting practice.
Yeah, it's better that it not be in wages when we're then also not following up with having a line for like the taxes and the FICA, Medicare, all that fun stuff.
Okay, no, I was looking at the wrong number. Okay, thank you.
No more wages, that's why.
Yeah, and then I think
Yeah, I
too,
was
if
trying to
like
figure out how it went
somebody's
from
looking at the
82,000 to
printout
80
too,
is
custodial services to me says we have a
79
contract.
to 80.
You know,
Correct.
we are locked into the rate, or we have to go find new people, whereas wages, I guess you would have to find new people, but yeah.
I mean, there was a brief discussion about whether or not that's something we want to put out to bid. Andy didn't and I couldn't remember how long we've had this current person or company for. But that would obviously be a later.
Yeah. Oh, no, I mean, just from a, like, if I was looking at this budget, wages says there's a person, custodial services. To me,
Says
implies
contract, yeah.
contract.
Motion to approve the 80,206.
Second. Oh,
There is somebody who has a question in the public, I think.
Yeah, Mr. Miller, before we vote, I mean, I can accept the motion and a second, and this is part of the discussion on the motion and the second for the $80,206.
Mhm. Yes, so no, so we have a separate assessor that only assesses the properties owned by, and the poles and the electrical utilities themselves. It's a separate contract with a separate company.
So Chad,
Push the
if you look at the assessed values in the town, the properties, there's assessed properties, but then there's assessed properties plus utilities.
Yes.
This is the assessment of the utilities.
Wow, okay. Do we have that many?
Yes, if you hold on one second, I can tell you how many millions of dollars of utilities we have.
Well, I know they have that big facility up in Epping. That's-
No, no, it's the property they own,
Ah,
so.
that's okay. Some
Okay.
other time. The other question I had was on the building, same question, is there's a 410 is electrical. Is that our electrical bill or is that something else?
That is our electrical bill. I don't know which buildings are included in that.
So didn't we put solar in a little while ago?
We did.
And is that not covering everything? Because I remember when it was being pitched, it was going to.
So that would show up as a revenue, probably. I'm guessing that shows up as a revenue to offset the, we have to pay the electric bill.
Hmm.
And then we get a credit for the electricity that we produce.
Okay, so that's going to show up under revenue? Yeah, I have, okay. That's, the other question or the other ask I would have is that when we do these spreadsheets, could you do the as of date? So if I, so it shows actual for the year. If you can put on it, just write it in hand, through the end of.
For sure, like when I finalize this, I will get the latest run from the town administrator and go through each one of these tabs and update the this year actual with the latest. I apologize, it's because what you're seeing here is as I get them from the select board, if that data, I'm just taking the data that's on there. So if it's up, you know what I mean? So if I got it this month, these should be the latest, the ones that we're reviewing tonight, I believe, within the last 2 weeks, but.
I mean, one of them says
But
12 and it's obviously not 12. And the only reason I need it is I'll take whatever that total is divided by the number of months
course.
completed and multiply that times 12 to get a year end. So.
Yeah.
Yes, that is how it should work, correct. But what I'm saying is, once this is finalized and before the hearing, I will have this updated with the latest actuals.
And if you
from
can
the
just
town
tell us
administrator.
what the latest is, that would be great.
So.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I
with
know
these spreadsheets.
when I do the one that we did last spring with the info sheet, I had literally the date I printed report. I think it was 2:15 or something.
You did, absolutely.
Which I think would answer your question. I physically got this report on February 3rd, and therefore these are the numbers that are current as of February 3rd. If on April 5th there are different numbers, it's because things happen.
And I'd like to thank the moderator for the excellent job that she's done tonight.
Thank you. Just so you know, in 2024, which is last year, we had $22 million in utilities in town. So. Sure, and I know that, but I believe that the fire department has their own electrical line, rec has their own electrical, so I know that this is not all town buildings. I'm not sure which buildings this electric line covers.
If that's available at some point.
Is it also downstairs? I don't know if downstairs doesn't have their own meter? Okay.
I would think
Okay.
Grange would probably fall into here too, because they don't have their own.
I'm pretty sure it's in,
That would
they
be
don't, they
really
definitely don't have their own electric bill.
Yeah.
Sure,
The
I'm just,
cemetery does.
I'm
but
just
we
saying I
don't-
don't-
We have
I'm
one
just saying I
light,
don't
but we have
know.
our own, so, and it's,
it makes
you know,
sense that it would be
$9
this
a month.
building, but I don't,
Right,
there
okay.
could be some other.
Well, I have a motion and a second, and Mr. Miller's good. Any discussion from any of us?
Mm-mm.
Okay, all in favor?
I,
Anyone oppose or abstain?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Hey, Michelle
Yes, Letty?
or Jim, what's the number that you have for the total for all of these?
Oh, I haven't been updating that tonight.
Well, I did not, as we were doing this, I wasn't cutting and pasting, Letty, to
Okay.
keep up, so.
Okay.
But I do have for the select board, right, that's, make it bigger so you can. see it.
6417362.
I have
change,
6415313.
Okay, so we'll have to, so we'll,
I can send, we can
Nope,
look, we
we'll
can go
figure
through
it out.
line by line and figure out
we'll figure it out.
what's off.
Michelle and I are experts at that.
Yep.
We've done this a time or two.
Yep.
There's definitely one that we voted a little bit more money than the select board, and I don't remember which one, but we'll get to that. Like I said, I just haven't been doing the cutting.
Did that go back to the select board?
I don't think it did, but.
Okay, is that something
Oh,
that
I think it was,
missed?
no, I think it was, maybe, was it welfare? Maybe it was welfare. We added money.
did, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Again, and it doesn't matter. I think we added the money based on when the welfare director
Sure, but
was
I
here.
think, did we,
Did you?
did we fix it?
Did you?
Okay,
Okay.
I might have brought, but that's fine.
And I'll do that. I'll do
would be
that
good
final
to-
check.
to
I will
see.
definitely do that final check. I'll get the report from the town administrator. I'll go through and make sure this spreadsheet is exactly correct for what.
Okay,
And the numbers that we approved should be good. I've been doing, I think, a good job of keeping up on that one.
Okay.
I just haven't, I didn't cut and paste them tonight as we
no,
did them, so that,
I feel very excited about where the numbers came in, so
yeah, and again, I just would say, thank you to this team. This is my first time going through this, and it was, I thought it went really well. I think, you know, there were times when we didn't agree on things, but it was very professional and very civil, and I learned a lot, and thank you all. I mean, I think it was really a job well done. I told the select board the same thing last night. I think between the department heads and the select board, really, I told them my job has been really, really easy this year. So I thanked all of them. Because I think, yeah, like I said, so that's the operating budget completed. I will update all of this and try to get, like I said, I'll even try to get the latest actuals put into all of these tabs just so we have something. Because I'll start preparing for the budget hearing. I'll need that.
if you're interested, I have mine set up, so I put the, I have it set up so it feeds in what the date is whenever anything changes, if that would be
Okay.
helpful.
Thank you.
Show you how.
And yeah, we can work together on this. It's, again, first time I'm doing the hearing,
Mhm.
so. all right. Next on the agenda is to review revenues and determine an estimate of the 2026 revenue. This, I think we've had, it's on here several times, but the goal is to establish the 2026 tax cap threshold. I guess I'll just start it off again. I'll summarize for everybody. I'm not going to go through the whole calculation. I think you all know the formula by now. We have to estimate what the what the revenue estimate will be next year in November when we set the tax rate. And we need that number to determine what is the max appropriation that we can have at town meeting to hit the tax cap. The tax cap number has already been calculated. We know that the tax cap is $5,505,061. It's just a matter of how do you calculate the actual maximum appropriation, and that requires estimating the revenue. So we went through the statistics. I thought based on the AI and based on our discussions of that 4% seemed reasonable. NHMA felt maybe being a little more conservative, and they wanted maybe 3.3. But the truth is, and I shared with you, what they said, as long as we are doing something that we can document and it's based on, we document this.
We didn't just pull a number out of thin air.
Correct. I talked to the town administrator about this week. She helped me a lot to understand this. I feel comfortable that the 4% is, it is being, like I said, if you go back to, what the AI was saying, it seems pretty reasonable in terms of being, excuse me, I'm on the wrong one here. If you look at the average, it's been over the last 10 years, it's been 5.5%, and between 23 and 25, it's actually been higher, 6 to 7%. Now, this past year, it was 3.3. I really feel comfortable, and I believe the town administrator agreed with me that using 4% is a very good number, and she felt comfortable. And again, it gets down to what
Yes.
is going to be the revenue number that is submitted when we do the tax rate in November. That's
So
what we're trying to predict.
I have a question,
Sure.
and it's not about whether or not we should use the 4%, because I agree we should use the 4%, but I guess the question is, if it turns out that there's funds that we forgot to report in 25, do we report them in 26? Like, I'm thinking about these ARPA funds specifically. How do we handle that if there's revenue that we just never reported? Great.
I'm going to say this. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
But I believe if, when we set the taxes and we give them a revenue number, if we said $2 million,
Mhm.
and then it ends up actually, and again, that's in November. If after everything is all done, it's complete, it was 2.1 million, I
Mhm.
believe that becomes, there's a line for fund balance. It's excess revenue, or a revenue in excess of what you planned. It goes into fund balance.
So, but it doesn't,
Same
it
as
doesn't come into this though.
No, it has
Okay.
nothing. It has nothing to do with this, because remember, this is being, where you're comparing it at the time when the tax rate is being set. So
Yes, and the 434 that we just looked at did not seem to have federal revenue listed on it anywhere. So if that was done in error, then I guess I just want to make sure that whenever that catches up, however that catches up, it's not going to screw up.
it will not. Well, it won't screw up, because even if they found out that 2 years ago they didn't report something, I don't see how that's going to affect the 434R for 2026. It wouldn't have any effect on it at all. I mean, I don't think you're going to report.
R for 2026 should have $45,000 in ARPA on it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Actually try to find.
And that might not get corrected until the final one in the fall of 26, and that's fine. But I just want to make sure that however that ends up happening, these corrections, that it isn't going to impact this, because I think based on what you're saying, it's not. Because this is like tax revenue for car registrations. and
Correct.
stuff like that.
Yeah, it's actually what's on the 434R form. It's these items, all of these items.
Right. But I think that we can all, unless one of these lines accounts for ARPA in a way that we're not understanding, there is revenue that was approved by the select board to be used in 2025 and 2026 that is not currently reflected. So I just want to have an understanding of if, and it sounds like the answer is no, it won't change anything.
If for some reason the 2026, like we're saying a 4% increase, the 4% increase, if there's going to be, some of it will be car registration increases, some of it will be maybe some state number that goes up, maybe something else might go down. The 45,000, if there's $45,000 in 2026 that was not there in 2025, it's a $45,000 increase in revenue. Do you know what I mean?
I guess
don't
the
know if
question I'm
made-
asking is, there's no like catch up.
No.
system.
No, I don't, I'm not aware of any catch-up system, because what NHMA said is basically when we go next year to set the tax rate,
Do you have this for 2023?
the 434 hour?
Yeah.
Let me see, I think,
Because
that's what I was actually
because
trying
we
to
definitely
find.
spent ARPA money in 2023, right? Like for sure, for sure.
I believe you sent me 24 and 25 I have from you. But I definitely have the 23. Nottingham, every town report here other than,
I mean, it'll be in the town report.
that's what I'm getting. Brentwood.
But am I not verbalizing my
Here it is.
question well?
No, I think you are saying it well, but because you're saying like, you know, if you file your personal taxes and something's wrong and you have to file an adjustment,
Kind of.
do we have to do that here?
Or not final adjustment, but like at some point, is it going to catch up to us because we didn't?
Because it was omitted somewhere?
Yes.
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so, but
But again, I don't know how it would impact the, his 434 right here. State sources,
what would be federal?
I'm scrolling. Nothing. I mean, again, this
So,
is 2023.
Where's the federal one? Sorry, I might have missed it.
It was up.
I'm sorry.
No, you're okay.
State taxes.
Is there not a federal?
No,
wait.
there definitely was. I just saw it like right there
Tax.
from the federal government.
License permits and fees, though. So maybe does it just never show up on this form, and that's why I'm confused? Other?
Is there a date on that form, Jim?
There's a signature on it.
What's
No,
on the
I mean, a date,
miscellaneous?
like a date that the form was changed.
This is the town report. I'm just,
Again, I recognize that this might not, I recognize that this is not necessarily a question about budget committee, other than if this is something that should have been on the 434 and we're basing this off of the 434,
Well,
Yeah.
I'm fine using the 4%. We can move forward.
because
Might be a
worst
separate
case,
question.
that's going to help us, right? Because the revenue will be higher, and that helps us.
I've given up trying to figure out
Okay.
what any of this means because
I'm also trying to find the audit. I think the audit results are in this, and there's a section.
for the prior year, probably.
Yeah, but there's a Schedule B, it shows revenues right here. But I don't know how, I don't know where it would show up on this either.
I
to be
know.
honest with you.
I am concerned that
Should show up, yeah.
where it should show up, maybe that's just really what because it's possible it's not on the 434 for whatever reason.
Mhm.
And it's a different form.
But for sure, when the tax rate is set, this is the number that the tax rate that is used to set the tax rate is this number.
I know, but does that mean there's just like an extra $90,000 hanging out in a bank account
I-
somewhere that no one's aware of?
So when I was asking about the date, when you know, if they update the W-2 or whatever, there's a
Yeah.
date on the bottom that says what it was updated by. If that form doesn't have the place for you to enter that information, and nobody thinks to enter that information because there's no place that asks for it, you know, if that form wasn't updated, that's what I was trying to ask.
Yeah, I don't think, let me see if I can. Let me look to 2022.
I mean, you would think it would be in that like federal other line or something,
Yeah.
but
So in 2022, I can see when it was uploaded. It was uploaded the beginning of September in 2022. And there's a line, is there a line in this one from other governments under state sources?
I think it was 0.
Oh, I guess that would be more like from
It
other
would've-
towns.
be from the state, though.
Yeah, I.
Intergovernmental, other government.
Is it intergovernmental
That's
revenues
from the
other?
state, it would
No,
have been from the state.
I acknowledge that this is not a budget committee question, and I can.
Thank you.
No, I know.
No, I'm very curious myself now of where it gets accounted for. I'm just struggling to see. I don't think it's gonna make a difference for what we're doing here.
That would be lovely, because yeah, I would also have some questions for our auditors if we have not reported
And-
correctly.
And I would just say,
Years.
if we just, if there's something that comes out of that that makes you suddenly think that 4% is not good, you can let me know, and we can change it. But I would rather, if I can, what I'd like to accomplish is if we agree to use the 4%, I can say that the budget committee and the town administrator, and I'm gonna present it to Paul and say, this is what we are recommended to be our max appropriation based on the tax cap number that has been
So
calculated.
is that the green number then, the
Yes.
7516?
Yes.
Yeah.
53?
And I think your point before, Jim, that it only helps us on the 4% side
It
if
does.
it wasn't accounted for as a revenue, but it is something that we also need to take note of for next year.
Absolutely.
That there will
Absolutely.
be roughly, what was it, like $45,000 of revenue that will not.
Now 90?
Not be, maybe
well,
90.
well,
Again,
90,
I don't,
This is the thing I don't know. Makes me nervous.
I mean, I don't know, because I don't remember what the total number was for our ARPA for the town. Was it 2 million? I really don't, I don't
Yeah.
remember. Wasn't it like $2 million, Letty? I don't, I don't
No,
remember.
but I think for this year, the 4%,
Yeah,
ye-
okay. Thank you.
if it's not recorded as revenue, it only helps with using a higher number, or makes that number a little safer than it would otherwise be.
And yeah, and if there's something that comes out of this that you feel like, you know what, we're gonna get a bigger increase next year, so we can put it at 5% or something, right? I'll
Yeah.
come back here and we can do it, but at least this is a starting point. And I think, honestly, the other thing that, and I think we've all seen it, the department heads did such a good job this year.
Yeah.
We're in really good shape. So I don't think we have anybody where we have a department that we have to go to and say, we have to cut, or we're gonna have to have a tax cap override on our operating budget. And
Yeah.
even with
Well, I
a
think
lot
the
of the
operating
warrants, we're
budget
still
would
in,
remain, but
I
it would
think-
be like, we'd have to go and be like, oh, can we cut back on
right.
whatever that was gonna
So
be added as a
It's
warrant?
gonna be warrant articles, and
Yeah.
I started to say this at the select board meeting last week. I think, and again, the select board has officially discussed no warrant articles.
Mhm.
But as, for example, roads is gonna be a warrant article.
Mhm.
I know that that has not been officially decided, but that's what the select board's intending on doing. There's other warrant articles. I know that when we were here with the police chief, we talked about putting the cruiser as a warrant. Like, I've been keeping a list of
Fire's
those.
gonna have a big warrant.
And I think we're still gonna be able to, the select board will still be able to bring those in underneath the cap.
Yeah, which I think is pretty spectacular.
Yeah, I tried just running some rough numbers, and again, I don't know. So the proposed, right now, the 6415, this is what the select board is proposing.
Mhm.
These would, if you add the warrants, and these warrants that are there would total 745,000, that gives a total of 7160, right? Bigger for people.
But that's
And where
less
was the?
that's 7.4 is the max, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's,
So if you use a 4%,
75.
we have
So-
7.5,
okay, yeah, so we're,
right?
but you
that's
did
again-
say that you were missing the warrant article for fire, and what was the other one? And
No, he has
municipal
fire
tax.
in there.
No, I don't have fire. 'Cause
No.
I haven't seen.
If they, no.
Oh,
I-
well, you have it in there.
But see how I put question mark, I did not.
Oh, okay.
I said
Oh, okay.
745, not including municipal complex or fire.
Okay.
I don't.
And we had talked about, like, for example, maybe building maintenance is a higher number. or
Correct.
Whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
right. So anyways, I
And
fear
we
doing
don't
this because I don't
necessarily
have any
need
facts
to-
yet.
Like, we as a budget committee don't have to recommend the warrant for to continue manual trash.
No, so the select board will present all of the,
Yeah.
you don't have to do any of these.
Right,
Select board
correct.
does them, and then they come here, and then you would decide if you want to recommend them or not.
Yeah, any that has an appropriation, we recommend or not recommend.
Yeah, no, but I mean, the fact that there's somewhere it's like, like probably
wait, so-
fiscally, it's better to move to the automated eventually. So like from a budgetary standpoint, if we were concerned about fitting in kind of the more critical things such as like roads,
Yeah.
we
So-
may still have
Absolutely.
more space.
If you just
even
add
counting all of these.
so that total operating budget plus warrants, if I just add 300,000 to that, would that be adding in the fire?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. So then the 7.4, so that's still, but
Yeah.
so we're,
So,
okay.
Within-
so
so
when, if
so
I,
the
just
select
what I had there, Letty,
we're
is like you
encouraged-
said, it says 356,000 that was where were left. So if you have a fire one of 300,000, well,
and we add more for Grange or
yeah,
whatever.
now
like,
you're
yeah.
gonna be.
But now the select, I guess, does the select board have to approve, or does this body approve an estimate? When is that number, when do we decide that number?
Yeah, it's, again, it's what NHMA and DRA told me is it's order-based. So, as we do warrants at town meeting.
No. What I'm saying is, would it be appropriate for this board to say, we are going to adopt a 4%, for next year, for the tax,
Oh, okay.
for the number, that the select board can use, so that this board can use, so that.
Well, that's what I'm hoping to do with us tonight. If we say, yep, let's go at 4%, I can give this to Paul, to the select board, to say, you're at 6415313.
Mhm.
Add your warrants in. You can't go
No,
over.
not add your warrants. No,
Okay. I
Just
guess
giving them a bottom line.
give us the
Yes.
number, and then we
Yeah.
can decide.
Sure, you have that. That's what that number is. So if you look at the, excuse me, jump back. Right there, it's 7. If you use-
51658.
If you use 4%, yeah, it's total appropriations,
So
7516583.
is the budget committee voting to approve the 4%, or is that something that the select board, like, how does that officially, who decides that?
Yeah.
I don't believe the RSA is clear. I think what the RSA says is that the budget committee is responsible for assuring that that we stay within the tax cap. I think we should vote. We should vote to use the 4%, and that we send to the select board and recommend to the select board 7516583. And then if the select board approves that, then we kind of cover our bases to NHMA, to DRA, that we reviewed this together, both the budget committee and the select board, and we agree that this is based on our best estimates, what the max appropriation should be for 2026. And I think we are going above and beyond. I think based on my discussions with DRA and then earlier with NHMA, and even what they put in writing said, yeah, as long as you're comfortable that you have it covered, there's no penalty or anything like that. And there's ways that we could adjust to if we had to later, but that's, so anyways, I think we should just get a
I will
motion.
make a motion for using the 4% increase in revenue over last year for purposes of calculating the tax cap.
Second.
So I have a motion, Letty, second Dan, to use a 4%, which would bring the total appropriation to $7,516,583. And I will present that to the select board, so they'll have it for their next meeting. Any more discussion? I'll open it. Chad, do you have any comments on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone oppose or abstain? Thank you so much.
Are you gonna present that to the board, or do you want to write something that I read to them or something like that?
I'll just put together something and email it to Paul, kind of like we've done in the past, kind of a notice to the select board, and then you can just read it to them. I'll be there if someone has a question, but
Okay.
it should, yeah. Thank you.
I mean,
And Julie, thank you again for helping me go through this. Appreciate it. That's all I had. Anybody else have any other business? I'm sorry, Nico was
no,
supposed to say that.
we lost him to his game.
We're almost not yet.
Is there
We're
any
not-
other,
anything
you could do
else?
this one, you could do this one,
So nothing else from us?
hold on.
Public comments.
Thank Any
No?
public comments?
All right, then what's this one?
Adjournment.
Second.
Yeah, motion to adjourn second. Our next meeting would be Monday, right? Yes, okay. All in favor?
What are we doing?
School.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
school.
Oh, right.
The school.
That-
Yeah.
I literally was like, we just approved all the buttons.
Sorry, Lynn.
They were so ready to go. Let's cancel the meeting. We're done.
Sorry, Dan.
So our next meeting is on Monday, and I had a motion, a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Hey, Jim, does this